Hey guys, how's it going? 6 Speed here, and today I'm going to give you 10 tips on how to get your first 2,000 followers on Soundcloud.
We can attack the city.
So let's get started. Before I start here, I guess I should point out that before these tips will really start to kind of take effect and really benefit you, it's going to be after you've spent some time. So you got the whole kind of mix down thing down. You're able to mix and master a track pretty close to industry standard. I mean, obviously none of us are going to be as good as the professionals, but you have to have some idea what you're doing, and as well you kind of have to have your musical style developed a little bit. Not necessarily have all your own original synths and have a completely 100% unique style, but you definitely want to know kind of where you're going with your music. This guide is for an independent artist that is actually trying to bust their ass. And let's say you're kind of struggling, you're sitting at the 150 even to 500 mark. Because at the beginning of this year, that's what I was having trouble with, was surpassing the 500 followers. But due to these tips that I'm going to give you guys, that's how I personally got from my 500, which I was stuck at for about a year, to the 1800 or 1900 that I'm currently sitting at today. So tip number one. Tip number one is to make sure to network with people. So by networking, basically what I mean is getting out there and talking to people. So whether it be in person, so going to your local club and getting to know some of the DJs, or even the club promoter for that matter, and just introducing yourself, letting them know what you're about, and just doing kind of stuff like that. Or if it's even online, so basically just being part of the community and like talking to other producers, network owners, and all this other stuff. The whole process and idea of it is basically just to get your name out there and make people aware that you exist and that you make music. So now for tip number two. Like I said before, tip number two basically is to collab with other artists. And the reason that this is number two on the list is because it's really helped me personally. The collab that I did with Chow Chow, our Never Ending Story collab that was released on Hybrid Trap, was kind of basically what got me from my 500 to about 800 followers. It was a 300 follower jump just with that one release. And that's why it was so beneficial for me, was because it really kind of reinstilled into me, because I'd legitimately been sitting at about 500 followers for like a year, and before this collab I was stuck in a rut. Like I couldn't, no matter how hard I tried, like I would basically put out a song, I would gain 20 followers, and then in a matter of 2 weeks I would be back down to the same number that I was before that release, if not a lower number. So that's why I think that they're collabing with artists is so important. As well, a really beneficial thing about it is that when you're doing your collab with them upon release, not only are you releasing that song to your fan base, which is usually going to see it, but now you're exposing it to the other artist fan base as well. So it's basically doubling your exposure, if you will, with one release. So now for tip number three. Tip number three for me, or tip number three on my list, is offer other skills. And by that, I mean, when you're networking with people, don't just bombard them with your music. And if that's the only thing you do, then that's the only thing you do. But for instance, me, I do graphic design. I do those reactive spectrum videos that you see all the time. And I do, just general video editing, picture editing. I do mixing, mastering. I do so many other things as an independent artist that I've taught myself, So you definitely want to let them know and bring that content to the table, because that's helped me a lot personally. That's the one thing that's actually helped me grow my fan base the most. is one of my connections that I have through a network. I do the audio reactive videos for them, and then because I do those videos for them, they in return are more inclined to help me out with reposts and stuff with my music, right? And also, I really need to add one thing that you really need to remember when you're doing this and doing this whole process is that you need to remember that just because you did something for somebody doesn't mean that they have to do something for you. So don't get mad or butthurt because you do a bunch of favors for somebody and basically give yourself away for free, and then when you ask them for something in return in favor, they don't do anything for you, because that's not an obligation. You're the one who is putting yourself out there. And I'm not saying this to try and discourage you. I'm just saying this to try and remind all you guys that we need to be professional, and you need to remember that just because you did a favor for somebody doesn't mean they have to do a favor for you. So tip number 4 is your generic tip that you see in almost every single SoundCloud followers tip now, or tip video now, which is use download gates. It's simple. I still see a lot of people not using them, and I see people not using them because they feel like it's almost unethical to ask somebody that when you're to download their music to ask for something in return. But the way I personally look at it is it's a follow. I mean, if they're taking the time to download your music, they obviously like their music. So why wouldn't you want to follow that artist to be up to date on all their reoccurring stuff? You know, in all honesty, it's kind of doing that individual a favor, because now they're not going to have to go out of their way to look for your music. It's just going to appear in their newsfeed, right? So that's kind of how I look at it. And the one thing that you definitely want to watch out for when you're doing your download gate is you want to find that nice balance between having collaborations and using your download gate to get reposts from people, but you don't want to end up with 600 people in your download gate so that when they go to download your song, there's a like 2-page list of all the profiles that they're gonna follow, right? So now for tip number 5. So now for tip number 5. For number 5, I have be consistent. And basically by be consistent, I mean stay present, you know, keep your name out there. You know, it's never beneficial for you to put out a song and then wait 6 months then put out another song. People forget about you, especially when you only have a small fan base and following. They're not going to take the time, or there will be some people, but most and a majority of people aren't going to take the time to remember to check somebody's SoundCloud when they only put out a song every 6 months and they only have 156 followers on SoundCloud, right? So basically with tip number 5, what I'm saying is you want to be consistent. Make sure you're putting out at least a song a month. It's really easy to maintain this if you take some time to kind of build up a back catalog. So you want to have a few songs that you're sitting on. Like for instance, right now I'm sitting on about 4 songs, and that honestly kind of stresses me out. I wish I had more. I need to start producing some more music as of right now, but I've been spending too much time trying to get this YouTube channel going, and figure out my vlogging schedule and how to make it all work and fit it in with my other schedule and stuff. But now I'm starting to get that all balanced, so I'm going to start building my back catalog again. So for tip number 6, I've put down to be part of the community. And by be part of the community, it kind of ties in with networking, but with networking it's more of a business aspect, and by be part of the community I mean specifically join Facebook groups, and join collectives and forums on Reddit and stuff like that, and be part of that specific group, you know, like actually provide content for them. You know, for instance, like with this YouTube that I'm trying to do, I'm trying to give back to the community that I've taken so much from, because I feel like there's a few things that I've picked up that I haven't seen in videos that I would have loved to and felt would have been really, really beneficial for me and would have saved me a lot of time if I was able to watch these videos and have somebody tell me this without me having to learn through the process of trial and error. So that's why you definitely want to be involved in these communities, is because it helps you not only grow, but it helps you get your name out there, you know, because if you're constantly posting in a group, like, people are gonna take notice of that. And I'm not talking about just spamming stuff. I'm talking about actually taking the time to go and look at all of these videos, and post and read them, and even write posts that you feel are gonna help other people, you know. So tip number 7, I have brand yourself. And by brand, I kind of mean you want to have a consistent theme across your social media platforms, how you act, kind of your whole mannerisms, even the way you dress and your style. You want to make sure that it's kind of the same. So for instance, like, when you go on their Facebook, you don't want to see some like death metal themed brand, or I guess, if you will, page layout, right? Like, when it comes to your artwork and all that, and then you go to their Twitter and it's like a bunch of like pictures of unicorns with your logo on it, right? If you're gonna do it, you want to make sure that it's consistent, and that, I mean, if that is what your brand is and your brand is just to be who you are, and who you are is just random, then that is what it is, right? But you just want to make sure that what you're doing with your music is what you're trying to get across. Tip number 8 is use different platforms. So for this one, basically what I mean is, if you already have a developed following, or even don't have a developed following for that matter, it's going to be in your benefit to have your YouTube up, and be posting content to it, to have your Instagram up and Twitter and those other things. It's really, really good, because then you're not just drawing from one resource. You have multiple resources that you're able to pick and choose from to help expand your following and grow your basic fan base. Tip number 9, I have keep it small. And by keep it small, I'm talking about your releases. When you release them, try to focus specifically on only doing singles when you first start out, because the fact of the matter is, if you take the time to produce an album, most of the time you're not releasing music for months on end, because you're taking the time to really devote your time and dedication to making that music, which is not a good plan when you are first starting out, because when you first start out, you want to keep it constant and keep your name out of the noise and popping up, so people are more inclined to click on it, and then it can create the snowball effect. And tip number 10, super cliche and cheesy, but it is what it is. Keep grinding. You know, like, every day I wake up and I have to deal with crippling self-doubt. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know where this is ever going to take me, but the fact of the matter is, in the last year, I've gotten way further than I ever thought I would. I didn't think that I would be at 2,000 followers at this point, and I'm super grateful for it, you know, and it's just because of this dedication that I've had over the last 7 years, and busting my ass every single night, and coming home, and the amount of nights that I stay up till 3 in the morning to get back up at 6:30 in the morning just to grow my fan base is ridiculous, you know. So no matter how discouraged you are and how little hope you have left, if this is what you want to do, stay dedicated to it and keep grinding. As well, you need to kind of try and remember, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. I've personally been doing this for, I think, about 6 years now, and it's just kind of starting to take off a little bit for me now. So just remember, some people, they can go and make a Soundcloud and release their music, and overnight they become famous, and then other people, they legitimately bust their ass for 20 years before they start to get any kind of recognition. But unfortunately, that's how it works, and if you want to do it, then you just need to stay persistent. And now for a little bonus fact. Basically, for fact number 11, all I have to say is try to stay away from the pay for plays idea. I mean, sure, you can pay and you can buy your following and you can do all that. You can make your SoundCloud look really, really nice. But the fact of the matter is that a majority of these pay for play and pay for follow companies work is they pretty much just employ someone over in India to make a bunch of fake profiles all day and follow different accounts on it. So, you know, you may be able to grow it and kind of get it going, but the fact of the matter is that is worthless, because those aren't real people, or at least the majority of them aren't real people. They don't care about your music. They're not following you because they want to listen to your music, so they're not going to share it. They're not going to help spread it. They're not going to actually do anything to benefit you other than make a number. And the fact of the matter is that 90% of people who pay for plays and follows, it's really, really easy to spot them within 10 seconds of looking at their profile, just because of how it all works. So this is it for my tip video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you guys are interested in more. Got a lot more content coming out. As well as I mentioned in my last video, I'm going to have some more information regarding the giveaway coming soon. So make sure to hit that subscribe video because I got no following. So if you guys want some free stuff, you want to follow me. Anyways, I'm out. 6 Speed, have a great night.
We can attack the city.